Welcome to ES Ascension News. I'm Lisa Renee, your Ascension Guide. The Tree of Life, returning to the Father. Dear Ascending Family, we are being pushed incredibly hard now to grow beyond our base auric frequency in order to strengthen our entire vibrational foundation for progressive and integrative spiritual embodiment. Without a strong spiritual energetic foundation, we are unable to integrate our soul, oversoul, and avatar Christos. Thus, we are not capable to create the dwelling for our inner Christos spirit. When we begin the stages of embodying our inner spirit with a loving, surrendered, and open heart, we eventually experience becoming increasingly freed through energetic integration. Energetic integration, or sacred union, occurs through the synthesis of polarities, held in the pairs of opposite, which is the alchemy of harmonizing opposing forces, which leads to embodied states of higher consciousness. As we make progress in clearing energetic blockages into increased self-awareness and increased self-realization, we ascend upward on the branches of the tree of life, which hold consciousness experiences throughout time. These timelines are in the many branches of the tree of life, which hold instruction sets traveling between and within the dimensional spheres. This is how we gain self-knowledge as a multidimensional and spiritual being. We travel through the spheres of time held within the holographic layers of the tree of life. It is this spiritual journey of gaining self-knowledge, traveling through the tree of life, which has been used to persecute and terrorize the human race through victim and bullying archetypes. This false king of tyranny archetype, which is the false father, uses intimidation tactics of bullying and victimization to enforce oppression through circulating spiritual fears throughout the masses. This massive mind control program is used through the patriarchal domination agenda, and this is called the Victim-Victimizer Software. If we are weakened by fear, if we are weakened by confusion, or we feel intimidated through bullying tactics, we can easily be served up into the chomping teeth of the Victim-Victimizer mind control program. When we are fearful, we disconnect from our inner spirit. When we are fearful, we close down our heart, and this accelerates our servitude to the mind and to the bondage of outer spirits of materialism through energetic fragmentation. This fragmentation is designed to break down our real inner relationship to our God parent by enforcing external terrorism or misogyny and Armageddon-like scenarios. This religious rhetoric tells us that we are doing something wrong that offends or separates us from our real father and mother. This mind control abuse is generated also into the false parent archetypes, which further promotes these distortions into belief systems which spread throughout our biological family of origin. We are capable to heal these distortions if we are willing to move beyond fear, to move beyond insecurity, and to move beyond low self-esteem. Each of us has the choice, which is the readiness to go beyond fear, as to how rapidly we want to ascend the branches of knowledge on the tree of life. Each branch takes us into life experiences that are designed by consciousness to directly experience our self-realization, spiritual actualization, in so that we may ultimately comprehend the Trinity of God Force, the threefold flame of love, wisdom, and power. Bookends in the cosmic library. In this incredible time, we have reached another bookend in the time field on the weekend of November 29th. This had been building pressure since the end of September. We are undergoing a process in the space-time field which is similar to placing bookends at the end of many layers of library shelving. A bookend is an object that is designed to reinforce or support an upright row of books. It is placed on either end to prevent books from falling over, such as in a half-filled bookshelf. If we imagine a cosmic library shelf filled in every imaginable direction with volumes of books filled with storylines, then we may imagine the incredible amount of timelines that are created to support those many storybooks without collapsing into each other or into destruction. When the cosmic library shelf shifted into the bifurcation of time, it had a great impact in editing the many books and reorganizing all the storylines, which is clearing books of record. It also shifted the base frequency in the earth core, and this allowed a point of which to merge further with the threefold founder rays into physical matter. This is the universal trinity wave source field which forms the basis of all potential trinity wave architecture forms into the planet's field. The base frequency is also a coordinate location of a fixed point in the collective time and space field. So when the base frequency changes, so does the nature of time and space. The base frequency is combined from the lowest frequency strings in the overall planetary consciousness field, mixed together with the highest frequency strings, brought into a point of contact with the unified three founder rays. All of these combined layers of energy fields are synchronized into harmonious resonance, or simultaneously split away from dissonance. Where the synchronized base is currently resonating is the new starting location at a fixed point in time. This base point determines the timeline which resonates for that energy field as it matches to the storyline experience of a person, place, or thing. This alters the upward momentum of forces, which directs future time probability. Thus, many of us have felt its impact upon our fluctuating lives. Many storylines have recently ended. This has altered our place. It's altered our location upon the branches of time located in the universal tree of life. Synchronizing resonance in time. During this cycle of bifurcation of time, the founders have altered the holographic structure of the universal tree of life, and that ray alteration directly impacts our personal tree of life. Everything contained as an instruction set is recorded in our personal tree of life, which is our spiritual blueprint, our spiritual mission, our manifested identity. It holds the instruction of our DNA and our destiny plan. Everything that we are continues to intelligently design our forward movement throughout the higher consciousness awareness and is a part of the universal tree of life. And this is currently being reviewed, studied, and revised. When the extreme polarity between combinations of forces that coexist together within a collective energy field reach a point of divergence, a split or fracture occurs within that collective field. Those combinations of forces that are matched in vibrational resonance with each other will continue to harmonize and therefore synchronize together in time. Those combinations of forces that are in dissonance with each other will split, fracture, and be moved into alternative areas of choice in order to better find improved resonance and therefore evolve into harmony. This is relative to the experiencer, and as such, the vibrational match will match the frequency quality of the conscious and unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and actions. As an example, if a person is comfortable being a victim or scared for their safety, that person will be matched to that frequency experience with the potential to exponentially magnify their focus on that experience in order to grow past that experience. Conversely, if a person has grown beyond victimhood and feels safe and connected with God, they will be synchronized in time to continue this experience in expanding their consciousness peacefully. This is a type of breaking apart of the status quo to encourage and stimulate intense catalysts for spiritual growth and consciousness breakthrough. If we have been static and not growing past old painful patterns, at this time we may be getting the universal benevolent bat to swat us out of personal apathy or to let go of mental fear programs. This is so we are moved into the circumstances of which we can better synchronize with our overall frequency resonance and continue to expand our consciousness rather than constrict. This is the energetic setting of the bifurcation. It is a type of breaking apart in order to reorganize and reconfigure the energetic landscape moving towards the necessary learning experience in so that we can expand our consciousness further. The extreme polarities of experiences that exist between love quotients and fear quotients will propel us into the lesson level we must master within ourselves in order to continue to move through the branches of time in the tree of life. We will either reach inner harmonization in order to move into synchronization of time through resonance, or split itself away through dissonance, which moves us into a correctional path of learning and evolution. A strong base equals a strong spirituality. If we have gained knowledge in the tree of life without having the direct energetic experience to integrate that knowledge, we will not embody the wisdom required, and this creates weakness at the base, weakness in our root. If the spiritual foundation of our tree of life is weak, unstable, and left insecure, we are very weak. That weakness will be exploited aggressively by the controllers to stunt our spiritual growth and to stunt human development by promoting disconnection. That weakness is targeted in the tender ages of children to grow them into dysfunctional adults. Spiritual knowledge is usurped and distorted by the predator mind through its ego's selfishness and ignorance, which disconnects its mind from God realization. This is how the seeds of hatred are sown. It is through disconnection with God. Conversely, if our base level, our root in our tree of life is built strong, it is stable and secured, and then we become very spiritually strong. When we are spiritually strong, we continue to grow our spirit, and we continue to evolve through the tree of life. When we are spiritually strong, we are a fortress of heart-based devotion and dedication to serve the highest expression of our goodness as a spiritual being. This heart-based devotion progressively builds solid ethics and strong virtues, which are the collective attributes that directly attract the spirits of Christos. Human goodness is equal to the virtues of the God Spirit. Virtues are the qualities of goodness that define the very purpose of our lives, the content of our character, and the truest expression of our spiritual energetic nature. Virtues are qualities of goodness which inhabit in the world of forces as a spiritual force. When one builds strength in virtue, one builds strength in the power of our goodness, which translates into the power of God force. We reap the quality of our cultivated virtue in that which brings incredible gifts directly from the God Spirit. These gifts are referred to as the bestowal of grace, which is received through the sincerity of one's virtuous thoughts or virtuous actions. Making this clear to define the bestowal of grace, this is not dispensed through a premeditated intermediary such as a guru or priest, but a bestowal of grace is received as a dispensation of God's grace and light, from the personal cultivation of virtues. To strengthen our spiritual foundation at its very root in our personal tree of life, we must place our relationship to God as primary and find the courage every day to cultivate virtues. A virtue is a characteristic of a person which supports the development of individual goodness for the purpose of personal and collective humanitarian well-being. This is a person who chooses to promote principles of love, principles of goodness, while giving their best every day with whatever they have in the moment. If one focuses on building strong virtues, these behaviors lead to personal freedom. If one is allowing strong vices to control them, this leads to personal bondage. This is our choice, to have freedom or bondage. The roots at the tree of life in our light body are that which powerfully direct the forward momentum of our life experiences from its base, building upon its foundation the many life lessons of wisdom earned. We gain knowledge and we gain wisdom while traveling throughout the many tree branches, which are the stages of enlightenment. Without a strong base, without a strong spiritual foundation, without cultivating virtue, one is rendered stagnant in growth in one or more of the four bodies, physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. Additionally, if we gain knowledge from the tree of life without building stable ethics and strong virtue, this manifests as a magnified darkness, which is returned to the originator as karmic backlash from the world of forces. This is from the abuse of power which is gained in knowledge when using knowledge for selfish purposes. Healing the Father archetype. It is for this reason that the Cosmic Holy Father principle is returning us back to master the base issues now, to learn how to cultivate the character-building virtue and ethical principles that we need to strengthen our spiritual roots so we can safely gain knowledge. As we become more adept at feeling completely safe with God, we can build trust with the Father principle inside ourselves. When we have full trust in our relationship with God, we know we are ultimately protected, and thus we stop generating fear-based karmic backlash to ourselves and to others. We can stop acting like victims or bullies. As such, at this time, we will find ourselves being sent back to heal the unconscious parts, the unconscious issues located at the base root in our personal tree of life. These are wounds that have kept us weak, stagnant, spiritually blind, or unable to expand further from beliefs that promote archetypes of feeling victimized or archetypes of bullying. When we are in right relationship to the masculine principle, we are grounded, stable, and secure with a strong sense of the inner core self. When one has strength at their foundation, one can progressively build upon that foundation, which generates self-esteem, and self-worth, which is based upon the inner and not the outer. The inner sense of security and stability has ultimately nothing to do with the external. Even when one finds themselves homeless or penniless, one can still feel secure and connected with God. Humanity will not progress beyond self-enforced tyranny or evolve spiritually until the Father Principle is healed, grounded, and integrated at our base. At this time, we are returning to the origin of the root blockage to overcome the damage perpetrated from the mind control of the false kings of tyranny. We must discern the difference between the outer imbalanced false father archetype that has operated as a tyrant and bully in the material world versus the cosmic Holy Father principle, whom is the internal aspect of our inner Christos, compassionate witness. In order to recognize what base frequency and base belief systems are operating in our spiritual foundation, we must see this Father paradox working in our consciousness, within our inner self, outer self, and in-between selves. This is being accomplished by moving the individual into the places and spaces of which this consciousness experience can be best comprehended and mastered before moving further into any higher access of knowledge which is contained within the tree of life. Hence, during this time, there will be much relocation, such as transits, exits, deaths, rebirths, beginnings, and endings. We will be moved to the place most beneficial to continue learning how to build a strong spiritual energetic foundation through character-building life experiences. As the Cosmic Holy Father Principle embodies into the matter world, his ongoing influence is pushing us to recognize the base principles from which we operate. These are the thought forms we choose that are shaping our decisions that we make every day in our life. These choices shape the reflection of the belief systems we embody, which further reflect the overall base frequency of our entire spiritual energetic existence. The surfacing of our base frequency levels is being magnified 100-fold at this time, so that we can identify harmful or destructive patterns in our sense of security, our sense of stability, and our sense of protection. This is transpiring with great benevolence in order to learn how to build the right relationship to the masculine principle. Identifying root weakness. First, we must identify which mind control programs the false father archetypes have used that still have a strong hold over our unconscious beliefs and conscious thoughts and feelings. The false father has been aggressively used by the controller mechanism to deliver victimization and bullying mind control to our root system throughout our childhood and into adulthood. In this way, this has become a standard belief system that is then self-enforced by human beings who treat each other as victims or control each other through bullying and intimidation. This agenda enforces that many humans feel unsafe, insecure, ungrounded, and unprotected, and so that they will continue to promote fear on the earth. Further, this agenda is encouraged by the negative alien agenda as the false parent archetype in our society, a false power structure to destabilize and dissociate the child from inner bonding and core integration. This prevents accessing the base human requirements for improved well-being, such as having experiences growing up with love, acceptance, safety, and security. Without this foundation, this fragments the child's self-love, breaks down self-worth and self-esteem. This lack of self-esteem will generally stay broken into adulthood and throughout the person's life cycle, and so that they are easily controlled by the external manipulations. This reinforces the destructive pattern repeatedly into the cycles of age markers, which the person experiences the same childhood sensations which are repeated into adulthood, which results in disconnection and unhappiness. This destructive cycle repeats generation after generation, inherited in ancestor after ancestor, continually degenerating DNA when it is not corrected. The first internal layer of our mind is our first-dimensional unconscious mind, and it functions like a hard drive for the conscious ego mind. This means that unconscious memories from our past life, future life, and present life may all be stored in this memory hard drive, and this can be used to manipulate belief systems that are held in the negative ego. Because the planet was invaded and our individual memory and identity erased from those tragic events, most all human beings have 4 main areas of painful cellular memory record in their first-dimensional unconscious mind at varying degrees. This is located in the root chakra, the first-dimensional tree of life. These 4 main areas are abuse, trauma, shock, and devastation. To heal these 4 main areas that are used to build upon the belief systems that generate bullying or victimization into the ego mind, first, we must see them when they are operating in our own thoughts. When we identify what it is that's stimulating fear into feeling victimized, we stop giving this power over us. Second, one must leave all false beliefs of security, stability, and protection as a measurement made in the material world. This is the true understanding that money, houses, careers, bank accounts, credit ratings, marriages are not the real sense of one's inner security. To use any of these items as a lifeboat in order to feel secure or stable is a delusion of power which is eventually designed to fail. This failure is to break one's self-esteem through continued betrayals of trust, calculated by the false king of tyranny to create codependence, frailty, and apathy in the human race. Many humans are learning this lesson in a very painful way during this cycle. We must learn to identify the difference between the false king and false sense of power, and the Holy Father in order to find the true security, stability, and grounded spirituality within ourselves. Using this chart may be helpful to identify fear thought forms and negative archetypes that have been generated through the false king of tyranny in our root system. We may intend to ask Holy Father to bring into balance positive thought forms which lead into unified patterns of balance in sacred marriage in these energies. At this time, the tree of life branches, which are being altered and reconfigured, are the first dimensional tree and our root chakra. Through the merging with the 15-dimensional Father and 7th-dimensional Violet Flame Mother, this is unifying the grounding ray of sacred marriage, Hieros into our planet. The balancing archetype for this sacred marriage is as Earth Mother and Compassionate Father unite. It creates the nurturing aspect of our Mother. The negative archetype of a blocked root chakra is the victim. The negative archetype of a root chakra that is too open is the bully. To bring balance into the Trinity wave of unified patterns of these archetypes is to be in harmony with the physical self, in harmony with others, to feel stable, secure, and grounded from within. The fear thought forms in negative polarity to clear are thought forms of survival fears, poverty, feeling unsafe, feeling fear of disease, feeling self-entitled, disassociated from what is happening around you, or a disconnection with the material world. The love thought forms and positive polarity to bring balance to the negative polarities are feelings of gratitude, feeling safe with God, feeling and appreciating abundance in your life, feeling ease in your life, cultivating your connection and feeling deeper connection with spirit and with the material world. The unconscious pain and separation in our first dimensional body to be aware of, healing and clearing, to find deeper base security and stability is to clear abuse, trauma, shock, and devastation. Finding base security and inner stability, one must make a sincere effort to stop the delusion of basing one's self-esteem being made on the appearance or assumption of outer circumstances. For many of us, this is our immediate task at hand, to be mentally and emotionally freed from being bullied, intimidated, and threatened against one's sense of inner security, stability, foundation, and well-being. We must master this lesson in partnership with the cosmic, holy Father. He is embodied here in matter to give us His hand in supporting this truth. It is only the Trinity of which leads us back to the inner one that is our real security. That relationship is totally up to each of us. Only you can develop that relationship with God's Spirit. No one can do that for you on the outside. The foundation of our light body is our form-holding energetic blueprint, which exists as the holographic tree of life. We are being pushed hard to surface that which has stunted our spiritual and personal growth, which has existed at the base level or unconscious level. When we hold unresolved and unconscious pain in our base frequency, it weakens our entire foundation. It erodes the roots which hold the base of our personal tree of life. If we have moved too high in frequency knowledge too quickly, this means we have jumped onto the higher branches of the tree without having mastered the vibrational qualities that would weaken one's base. Without having grown the strong, stable roots for building strong, stable spiritual foundation in one's personal tree of life, one may topple or be redirected in their path. One is easily manipulated, controlled, or potentially hijacked by controller forces when not spiritually strong in virtue and ethics. At this time, one will be moved to the life path that is vibrationally matched and appropriate in order to accomplish the learning required through the highest consciousness pathway. Conscious co-creating as a divine human. The holographic structure of the universal tree of life is continuously replicated within the same microcosmic version upon our own personal tree of life. Our personal tree of life is our spiritual energetic blueprint, and what is continued in that blueprint will determine our experiences throughout time and space. During the Ascension cycle, we have the opportunity to learn how to connect with this blueprint. Therefore, with our conscious participation and agreement to serve our highest expression in the image of God. With this dedicated awareness, we may learn how to become conscious co-creators in synchronization with the cosmic principles which are inherent within the universal hologram and natural laws of God. The natural laws of God are synchronized in time with the universal tree of life blueprint. As we expand our consciousness in love and peace, we are allowed to access and alter our own divine destiny in the cosmology of time. This is the crux of great knowledge that the Ascension cycle brings as the gift of freedom to the human beings of this earth that are ready to consciously participate as co-creators with the natural laws of God. One is not sovereign until personal freedom is achieved by obeying the law, which is the physical embodiment and emanation of the virtues and spirits of Christos. The more virtues and spirits that are embodied in Christic attribute, the more knowledge is entrusted with peace and freedom given to the individual. This is the main lesson of humanity's evolution, from living in animalistic, primitive behaviors of unconscious negative influences to rise above to the dedication in perfecting our living vessel to be made in the image of God, to be made as the dwelling to house the plasmic light of Christos. We must leave behind animalistic behaviors to learn how to become a divine human, not through the lens of judgment. However, through the self-directed choices one makes to improve personal virtue and ethics. The holographic universal tree. Our individual bodies are nested upon the musical scales of spiraling harmonic dimensions, which are fully contained within the universal tree of life. Everything that ever existed and is recorded within the universal tree can be located and found from within our own personal tree by tuning into the matched consciousness frequency station. The human anatomy, the entire four-body system, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies all manifest upon and within the multidimensional layers instructed by the core manifestation template, which is referred to as the tree of life. Every aspect of universal creation and consciousness life spiral is designed and instructed through these living blueprint structures. As we consciously develop ourselves, as we evolve through these branches of time, the pathways we have created for our consciousness experiences help us to learn to travel consciously through the vibrational qualities held within the tree of life. And as we travel through multiple dimensions of time, this is the personal pathway to achieve spiritual sovereignty and therefore energetic freedom. What is a hologram? Holograms are manifestations of the properties of light, how light is produced and transmitted, and how light interacts with itself. The universe is a time matrix consciousness hologram. Reality is projected as illusion of timelines within this universal hologram. Our hologram is composed of grids that include instruction sets, and these are called morphogenetic fields. These instruction sets are created by the source consciousness, then projected into awareness through electromagnetic energy at the physical matter and antimatter levels. The hologram is created and linked through a series of web networks, or multiple layers of grid matrices based on the patterns of sacred geometries or creational code languages. The universal hologram has within it the alpha and omega, which is the beginning and end, including all time cycles that are all beginning and ending simultaneously as multidimensional consciousness evolves through the alchemy of time and space. As certain instruction grids collapse, timelines also collapse, and everything within that hologram will collapse. And this helps us to understand what is going on in the world today through the dismantling of structures, which is happening at the end of the Ascension cycle. The human body is also a holographic light projector. The human central nervous system processes electrical impulses transmitted from the DNA code, which further neurologically transmit to the brain the instruction sets to perceive external images, and this brings our context for reality. A person can only experience the levels of multidimensional reality that have been programmed into their DNA code and personal tree of life, or this is called their holographic template. When we evolve to become a conscious co-creator as a divine human, we are capable to heal ourselves, and we are capable to alter our own personal holographic tree of life. If we understand holograms of refracted light, we can begin to understand the holographic architecture placed in the consciousness fields to bend or control the refraction of light and sound, and that this can happen within an inorganic or organic state of being. An inorganic state is defined as a state that is artificially built by an extra-dimensional entity with the aim and goal of subversion or infiltration or enslavement of beings subjected underneath its own realm and reflection of light. All of these ego filters of victimization, negative collective archetypes such as war and enemy patterning, severe addiction programs, and various mind control structures of fear and alien implants, these are all examples of inorganic refractions of holographic architecture that have been artificially built in dead energy structures through frequency manipulation on our planet Earth. This is how they were able to invade the planet without being physically seen and detected by the spiritually oppressed human masses of today. By superimposing refracted light spectrums to be directed at the whim of the controlling entity or controller through its hidden agenda, the entity can create overlays of perception, overlays of identity, overlays of thought forms, and this is the means of alien mind control of which has been discussed many times before. This is called a holographic insert. By controlling perception of identity, one can control the consciousness of an identity, and eventually through subversion of the original identity, one can possess that being's body and mind to become subservient to an agenda that is neither organic in evolution or natural to the soul. We are able to change, alter, and adjust inorganic refracted light patterns through compassionate witnessing of these patterns by applying pure love through our spiritual body consciousness, intending to remove harmful frequency devices. When we apply consciousness with intention, when we apply change in the frequency structure and we direct it throughout our own bodies, we can clear, remove, alter artificial refractions of structures that impact our personal tree of life, our personal hologram. The Hiroscamo system is one such tool. The Hiroscamo system is designed as a roadmap to reclaim the Christos body through the removal of artificial, dead, inorganic, refracted light holograms that have been used to enslave and torment the human race for thousands of years. This is entirely possible to clear. However, most of us will need mental discipline, the virtue and ethics, the re-education to remember our original language and the context of Ascension, to apply frequency alterations with Christ consciousness intent. When our power is used for the greatest good and in the service for others, when we dedicate ourselves to do the best we can every day, to have aligned thinking, aligned speaking and actions, the embodied spirit of these combined virtues give us massive inner spiritual strength. This strengthens our inner foundation, and it is that spiritual strength which greatly blesses us to feel supported and to progress on our consciousness path of mental, emotional, and spiritual freedom. During this month, as we come to the close of 2013, our suggested inquiry meditation upon Father archetypes and how they've impacted you in your life, and how one is directing their own personal power in the world. Where are you dissipating or wasting energy or time? Does the inner and outer tyrant inflict self-torture upon you? If so, how can you immediately change those thoughts and circumstances? Do you understand and admit your own weaknesses and realize how they can be exploited by dark forces or the unscrupulous? What is the motivation behind your own thought processes and behaviors? Where may you have issues of self-control which interfere with developing your personal courage, determination, and patience? Are you willing to be the force of goodness and cultivate virtues and ethics to be the will to good? As we leave this time cycle of the oppressive rule of the false father, this is a beneficial time to identify areas in ourself where we have been hurt or harmed through the false king of tyranny archetypes in our life. It is time to reclaim our true divine nature as a God, sovereign, free being. Until next, have a happy holiday season with all of your beloveds. Stay in the luminosity of your Avatar Christ heart path and be kind to yourself and to each other with a loving heart until next month. Much love.